Great, Randy. How are you? Good to be with you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for joining us today. So everybody, this is episode 162 of Tech Sales Insights. Really excited to have Peter Trizzino, who's an awesome rising star leader at Dell. He's president of North America Sales, which is a huge job. We have an awesome title topic, which is Culture Eats Strategy for Breakfast, not lunch. Well, actually, probably breakfast, lunch, and dinner, right?
Yeah, correct. Absolutely.
All three in the snack in between. We're sponsored today by Octus IQ. They're the sales performance and talent assessment sponsor of Sales Community. Awesome company. And for those that are members of Sales Community, thanks. For those that are not, Tucker will put up a free link and you can join. We have a awesome advisory board with impressive folks like Peter Trizzino and others as well. So by way of introduction, Peter and his family live outside of New York in Long Island in Northport. He's been very happily married for 27 years. That had to be probably the best sales call of your life, huh?
The absolute best.
There you go. And 4 kids, 3 girls, 1 boy, age 15 to 23. So we know what that is like. Then we're trying to think, I think we first met back 10 years ago or so. Chris Riley introduced us and said, hey, Randy, want to have you mentor Peter. So I don't know if I helped you along the way at all, but certainly has been fantastic knowing you for the past 10 years.
Oh, no question about it. Thank you so much.
And we have, by way of introduction, some intro comments from some friends and colleagues. Diane Basili, who's the GAM, I call him GAM, I don't know what you call him these days, but
the client executive on Bank of America.
Client executive, there you go. And B of A says he's a phenomenal leader, inspirational to many here at Dell, and a truly good person. I'm a huge Pete fan. Denise Millard, who's the channel partner officer, newly promoted as well, says Pete's a longtime Dell EMC executive who leads with his heart and people first mantra. He's approachable, coachable, and his team's biggest advocate. He's done every job up and down the line, from rep to manager to largest accounts and now North America. He gets the value of partnership internally and externally. John Byrne, who runs basically global for Dell, says they say likability is a huge factor in leadership, and Pete has that in abundance. He also leads from the front, spending time with the team in front of customers frequently. I love working with Pete. Kyle Lejeski, who's SVP Global Specialty Sales, says Pete is a perpetual learner, always adapting his style and approach to the context of the role and opportunity at hand. While adaptivity is a key trait, there are many constants in his life. His character, his family, and a people-first mentality are what ground him as a person and as a leader. I admire his customer relationships, culture creation ability, and unwavering drive to succeed. Pete is one of the best guys around and a leader I've been privileged to work with for 15 plus years and look forward to many more ahead. And of course, I've got to have Billy Scannell. I've had the pleasure of knowing Pete and working alongside him for over 20 years at EMC and now Dell Technologies. I've had a front row seat watching him grow from a global account manager to running our global accounts and now Dell Technologies Select segment, which represents our largest 130 global customers, to now running the Americas Theater as a president of North America. His success is second to none, but more impressive is his immense leadership. He is approachable, thoughtful, but tenacious when it comes to winning. His future at Dell will be incredible, and glad to call Pete a good friend. Your future will be incredible. How's that? And I have one from a customer exec who who wanted to be nameless. I'm sure you figure it out, and I'll tell you offline. But said Peter always puts his clients first to ensure a win-win partnership. Always a great leader and carries the Dell flag with excellence and integrity. I always have time for Peter. So pretty all around. And I will be sending you a copy of that so you can pin it up on your refrigerator there if you want. And
that's nice to hear.
There you go. And we have a comment from Max. Thanks, Max. Pete, one of the best human beings that truly cares about the team. He exemplifies what inspiring leadership is all about. So, Max, thanks for leading the charge. So, if people want to make comments, feel free. But more importantly, we love questions as well, because that helps us keep things moving. So, thanks, Max. And as always, before I forget, we have Tucker behind the scenes helping us get through all this. So, thank you, Tucker. So, jumping into the questions. So your first job after Loyola, Maryland was at Xerox?
Yes. Yes. Knocking on doors in Brooklyn, selling copiers. You want to talk about a humbling sales job? I graduated from Loyola. I played soccer there. And upon graduation, I really didn't know what I was going to do.
Yeah.
So someone said, why don't you go into sales? And to be honest, I had no idea what that even meant. So upon further research and some interviews, I landed a job at Xerox. And, I still remember my first sale. It was just incredible, an incredible feeling, something that I'll never forget, and instantly became addicted to sales, and probably, and I know for a fact, I wouldn't do anything else. If I had an opportunity to go back, I would choose the same profession all over again.
Awesome. Love it. So maybe just go through your impressive career there at Xerox, and then EMC, and then Dell, which I think spans 60 years at Xerox, 24 at Dell EMC, for a total of 30 years. So 2 companies in 30 years, basically, right?
Yeah, wow. And kind of preparing for this, when we first hooked up here to do the sound check, 30 years, it's gone by so fast. I can't even believe it. I've gone from kind of being a new early career salesperson to now being the old person. So that's also pretty humbling. But yeah, so I had some success in the field at Xerox, and just a lot of tenacity and grit and knocking on doors and having doors slammed in your face. And this is when you can actually used to be able to canvas. And I'm not sure everybody knows what that is, but you'd actually go physically knock on doors. We didn't have, fancy lead queues, or, it was all done by, boots on the pavement. And so with a little bit of success, I, kind of was able to get increased opportunity in different territories and calling on different customers. Then was given an opportunity to be a first line manager at Xerox. I still remember, the people there that really influenced my career and kind of really helped shape the sales executive that I am today. And in Xerox, although copiers, I guess, were not considered sexy, the training program that they had there was top tier. They had the Leesburg facility down in Virginia, which was Xerox University, and they taught us, all different techniques of selling, demoing equipment. You truly had to know your brief, as Billy Scannell would say, on your products and your competition to be able to, sell against them. And then I'll never forget, one of my best sales leaders, one of my best sales reps had come into my office while I was a new manager and said, "Hey, I need you to be a reference. I'm going to EMC and they're going to call you, and I need you to give me a reference." And I said, "Absolutely not. You're my best. I don't want to lose you." And he said, "You don't understand. This opportunity is going to change my life." So I took the reference, and obviously this was a rock star salesperson. And upon the conversation about this rep, the manager over there said, "What are you still doing there? Why don't you come interview?" I said, No. I'm a big district manager over here at Xerox. I'm gonna stay put and ride this out." And lo and behold, I met that person. Was offered a job at EMC, and at that point, we were almost hiring 1,000 people at a time. And funny story was, so that was like in May. By the time I got my offer letter and started, it was August 15th, 2000. Literally the week the bottom dropped out of the stock market. And EMC went from like $106 or $104 to $6 in that week. I thought I made the biggest mistake of my life.
Right.
But yeah, it's kind of history since then.
Who was the rep and who was the manager?
Well, Mark Degatano was the rep, so big name in the industry, and Tim Merrigan was the manager, and Mike Sweeney, leading up to Mike Sweeney. So both those guys, I guess, are the ones responsible for bringing me over to EMC.
Awesome. Yeah, Tim was a big lax player, I think, right?
Football at
Football.
University of Maine. Yeah, in
Go.
Orono.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right, cool. And then just quickly go through your impressive career at EMC then Dell.
So literally, I got to EMC. At that point, there was no Salesforce.com. You know, our system was a pile of manila folders with maybe some handwritten notes in them. It was dropped on my desk, and it was calling on the .com space, and the bubble literally burst that week. And they said, "Good luck. We have no idea who's still in business, who's not. Have at it." So at that point, I was, you know, my territory was .coms in the World Trade Center again. Knocking on doors. And I just, at that point, there was virtually no business. And I did what I could do, which in control what I could control was I was first one in the office every day. I was the last one to leave. I was constantly learning. I was constantly networking with partners and, you know, with other people to try to help me to drum up leads. I mean, I literally went from a regional manager managing 15 sales reps to an individual contributor in a hunter territory. And again, that was pretty humbling. I'd landed at EMC and literally found out like that week that we were also pregnant with our first child. And, you know, this was like, it was a point in my career where I literally was questioning what I just did to my career. And I'll never forget, I was in December, I got my first deal. It was a good deal. We turned the year, and then I got called into my area manager's office, and I said, "Wow!" I said, "I can't believe I'm not going to make the turn here." And I literally thought I was going to get fired. And he said, "We recognize all the hard work. We know we gave you a bad territory, but we see how hard you're working, how hard you're hustling. You know the products. We just like what we see. We want you to take a territory out on Long Island." And I felt like I was getting put out to pasture. I lived on Long Island, but it's working in New York City, and I didn't want to do it. And they said, "Trust me, it is going to be a great opportunity for you." And that territory was sneaky good, Randy. It was a handful of enterprise customers, and was able to leverage my relationship building skills and do some really solid business out there, working for Bob Burke, who's an all-time dear friend and again a district manager at the time that was the top of the top at EMC. And I had some success there, and then was asked to be a rep on a global account team, which is how I got cut my teeth getting into the global account program. I was a rep for UBS here in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Had some success there. Was asked to be a global account manager for Bank of New York, Mellon. They actually went through the acquisition at the time. Had some success there. Then Andy O'Brien, a good dear friend of yours, was asked to run Pivotal at the time, and he was leading all the global account managers in New York. And I thought I was purpose built for that job, with the success that I had, in territory as a global account rep and then the global account manager. I thought that job was mine, and went through the interview process. And I'll never forget the day that I didn't get that job. I got a $40 million deal at the Bank of New York, and I couldn't have been happier. And then literally, 3 minutes later, the email came out on who got the job, and it wasn't me. And you want to talk about a gut punch, but you talk about Billy Scannell. He called me within 30 seconds and said, "Hey, this one didn't go your way. Trust me. We got our eye on you, and we know you're going to do great things. Just trust me." And I said, "Billy, Thank you for calling. You didn't have to do that. I'm going to do everything I can to help this person be successful. And, and again, after that, I was able to get an opportunity in the mid-market space, and then New York, New Jersey, and now into the role I have today.
Awesome. Very cool. So kind of quickly, maybe kind of what is your role?
So responsible for all the sales in North America across all segments, everything from medium business to commercial, public sector, corporate customers, enterprise customers, Canada, and federal government.
Well, so it's everything. So you have kind of the full pyramid, kind of the largest accounts on SMB, all the different segments, and then you've got the kind of client execs calling on those, and then you leverage the different specialty sales groups, kind of tag team effort.
Correct. Inclusive of also got responsibility for the North America channel.
Great. Awesome. And channels just, so important. And, think over the years from what the, EMC reputation was to now, probably one of the most channel friendly companies out there.
Absolutely. And what we're finding is, more customers want to do more strategic things with less vendors, and they want to buy outcomes. They don't want to buy products. And we,
Right.
We really need those partners to help us stitch, the full solution together. So it's a partner ecosystem world, and we're only as good as the success that we have with our channel, for sure.
Awesome. Any partners you want to do shout outs to?
Oh, Randy, there's so many good partners, all kind of across the different landscapes. It would be unfair for me to call out a few. They're just, we just have we're really blessed with the channel community that we have. I'll leave it like that.
Absolutely. Well said. So if you think about your kind of go-to-market priorities going forward here, any kind of one or two things that are particularly hot for you?
Well, listen, again, if you look at the major customer challenges right now, they sit, again, everybody's trying to figure out Gen AI, and you look at the opportunity that we have across this vector. I mean, it's going to be our biggest growth area in the coming years. And we've got solutions from our desktop, to our infrastructure, both from a compute network and storage standpoint. And there's huge opportunities there currently, AI labs and cloud service providers. But the next bastion there is our corporate and enterprise customers. And there's going to be massive opportunities, and we got to help our customers with their data strategy and laying down that infrastructure. So big opportunities there. Multi-cloud is still a massive opportunity for us. Still 83% of customers' data sits on-prem. And listen, it's not public or private anymore. I mean, that debate's over. It is a multi-cloud world, and we've got solutions to help customers figure out what workload should sit in what solutions, and either on-prem or in the public cloud. I mean, our security offers, with all the ransomware attacks that have been happening lately, our Cyber Vault solution is world-class. It's not a matter of if, just a matter of when our customers are going to be breached. And we got to make sure that they have the ability to recover from these events. I think, it's very public what's happened to some of these companies. They've,
Right.
losing $1 billion in valuation because of cyber breaches, and it's preventable. So it's all incumbent upon us in the industry to help our customers be able to recover there. And then listen, our heritage is devices, right? And every customer you talk to is trying to figure out the future of work, right? And how they're going to have their people, employees, be as productive as possible. And the devices that go into their hands is usually the determining factor of how productive they are. So, we've got huge opportunities in front of us in that space. We're coming up on a 4-year COVID refresh of laptops. Gen AI, AI is moving into the desktop. IDC is saying, 70% of all desktops are going to be AI enabled before 2027. Got the Windows 11 refresh. So it's a really, really good time to be at Dell right now. We're helping our customers with like the biggest tech challenges that they face. And, we're coming up on 40 years now as a company. And we're kind of rebuilding ourselves right now to be ready for the next 40 years. And I think what we've seen over the last 5 is nothing compared to what we're going to see over the next 5.
Yeah,
And it's a really good time to be in IT. But I'm so proud to be working at Dell right now. It's really, really fun.
that's great. And actually, if you go EMC, I think EMC would be going on 45 years, actually. Uh,
Yeah.
so a lot of priorities there. That's awesome. And certainly so many great things you can do to help your customers for sure. What about any kind of one or two challenges you want to mention?
Well, listen, like I said earlier, I focus on 2 things. It's our people and our customers. And I think if you can get your people and your leadership right, obviously, you hire really strong leaders, let them do their jobs, that have a customer first mindset. Usually, everything kind of works itself out. But in today's world, kind of what keeps me up is our entire organization on message, right? I mentioned earlier, know your brief, but does our does does our entire sales force, when they're in front of a customer, do they have the ability to tell the Dell technology advantage? And you get a variety of different ways to tell the story, but what happens when we get someone on a call, or what happens when there's a sales rep in a meeting on their own? Are they able to tell that story? It's a complex message, and um, we need our people to really be students of the industry, know their brief, really focus on not selling the products and the speeds and feeds, but knowing the customer, understanding the problems that the customers are trying to solve, and then mapping solutions to help solve those problems. Right? I mean, it's outcome based selling now in today's world. You can't get away with just having a relationship, right? The golf and the steak dinners. I mean, that doesn't get you, you know, revenue anymore, right? Relationships are important, but they're rooted on trust and credibility, and you need to bring solutions that solve customers' problems. And I think our make a golf analogy, our lazy swing is to sell, by product and by speeds and feeds and by price. And we really need to focus on outcomes and value. And that's kind of, we're trying to make a big switch across all of our segments, right? That's not just the higher end global accounts, but it's down to every segment within the organization. So that's what we're working on.
Awesome. So good. So we are touch on a bunch already, but the title topic being culture eating strategy for breakfast. So kind of your maybe kind of high level around that, and then we can dive into some of the pieces.
Yeah, I mean, listen, culture is really, it's kind of made up of a collective mindset and behaviors. It's really not so much the what, but the how behaviors that I think are really what makes the difference. Can you be direct with your team versus being passive aggressive, right? Are
Yeah.
you really helping others be successful, or are you pointing fingers when they fail? Are you truly rooting for others to succeed, right? And do you subscribe to co-elevation, which is really like the principle belief that you can accomplish more together than you could have on your own, right? Do you really have a pride of outcome mentality versus a pride of ownership mentality? Do you really trust in your teammates? I mean, those are kind of all good examples of what good culture looks like. And like I said, you can say you trust somebody, right? And I subscribe to the speed of trust. I mean, it really is the foundation for, I think, high performing teams. It's really tough to earn trust, but it's very easy to lose it. And I inherited an amazing team from John Byrne. He's a world-class leader. And I got to this team and I subscribed to the speed of trust. But when I got here, they had it. And I mean, it was really powerful to be able to come into a team that had that much trust across every single person and that was that high performing. I mean, I had to really work hard. I was the one that needed to earn trust at that point. And I think the easiest way to earn trust is to give it. And I gave the team a lot of trust. And over time, I think they wound up trusting me because I gave them space to operate in, and I made myself available when they needed me. And I think that boded well for us building trust at a pretty quick rate.
Awesome.
So
So you covered a lot of ground there. So I'm going to circle back and double click on some. So that trust within the team is obviously a hard thing to do, and great that you got that. But then what about kind of with partners, right? Because that's always something where the partner reps and teams. Oh, geez, so and so company, they're going to take it direct or not do this or not do that. So what are some things that your team have done to build trust with the partners?
yeah, well, a couple things there, but the same message applies, Randy, regardless if it's with your own team, your customer, and or your partner. And I use customer and partner synonymous. I truly believe that our partners are our customers as well. Um, and the best way to earn trust is to give it, right? So, well, but to kind of answer your direct question, what have we done? We moved to this partner first go to market strategy for storage, and basically put our money where our mouth is. There was some question on our predictability when it comes to partnering, and sometimes we were getting feedback that we weren't trusted because we take a deal direct at the last minute. Well, now our partner first strategy is we're paying our reps more to sell storage through the channel. I mean, and I don't think you can get any bigger of a statement on trust than that. So I think we're seeing a big shift in the way we're engaging with our partners as a result of that strategy, and we're coming a long way with trust in our partner community.
Awesome. And then back, you have to kind of, I guess, kind of inspect what you expect. So back on the kind of talent and performance management side, right? Nobody's perfect. So how do you kind of coach, as you go?
Yeah, I mean, so we measure a couple things. Obviously, you have the scorecard across your business, right? How are you doing in the different lines of business? Are you growing? Are you taking share? That's very clear. But then we measure our customer NPS score. Then we measure our employee net promoter score. So you have your results, right? You have your share, you have your customer NPS, and you have your employee NPS. And that's really the full makeup of what our performance management scorecard looks like. You think about it, right? You can be growing your business or even declining your business year over year, and or not making your quarterly plan, but you still could be outperforming the market, right? So that's what we look at is our performance relative to the market, and if you have a premium there, then you're doing the job, right? So that's I think I really like how Dell kind of looks at that. So you've got your scorecard, and whether you're hitting your plan, you've got your performance relative to market and the market share, you've got your employee net promoter score and your customer net promoter score. And I think when you look at it holistically like that, that's a true measurement of a leader.
And at the same time, you could have, whether it's individual contributor managers who maybe have the right, probably more individual contributors who have the right behaviors. Maybe the deals and numbers just haven't quite come in. But if you're kind of measuring, those right behaviors are there, the numbers are going to eventually come in.
Absolutely, Randy. That's the thing. I mean, so if you see somebody that's got the right how behaviors and the numbers aren't there, then I think you really need to look at, okay, what does that territory look like? What does that patch look like? What does, the customers that they're calling on look like? And if you really believe in that person, you you continue to invest in them and potentially move them to an opportunity that might be better for them, and then and give it another shot there. I look holistically at that. I mean, sales is pretty binary. Michael Dell said you either do or you don't do, but there's also some other contributing factors that you need to review to make sure you make a decision holistically.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, so for those that are watching or listening, feel free to chime in with any comments here as you like. So, another big one I'm sure is work ethic. So you had mentioned, kind of, early on going in the trade center, the .coms, in early, work late. We kind of all kind of grew up with that. It seems, this current generation that's allowed to say, some have it, some don't have it. So kind of how do what do you think is the importance of work ethic now versus what it used to be, and how do you kind of help manage it or lead that?
Yeah, that's a great question, and listen, it's really important for people to work in where they could bring their authentic self to work every day. That they could have a great balance. It's really not a work-life balance anymore. I call it a work-life blend because
Right.
you really are working pretty much 20 hours a day, but you fit it in at different times, right? So, we've got a return to site policy right now for our hybrid workers. We want people to be back in the office 3 days a week for the right reasons, right? Just because we want to
Right.
drive, that winning culture. And it's really hard to do over Zoom or video. It's very transactional. Nothing like human connectivity. And I believe we're really doing it for the right reasons, but it doesn't mean that you still don't have flexibility, right?
Yep.
So the question is, happy employees or motivated employees. So with the flexibility that you can give your team to do what they need to do in business and in life, I think you're going to get better results. I mean, you don't have to be in the office to be working hard, right?
Hopefully run around on sales calls, especially if you're in New York.
Exactly. I mean, that's the point, is that people working all different hours these days, and I don't know. I always had this mentality, not let nobody outwork you. I mean, my dad, always said, listen, you bring positive attitude and a work ethic every day, and good things are going to happen. And that just rings true in my head every single day. And listen, I think positivity and optimism is contagious. So I just try to, bring that every single day and lead by example on a work ethic standpoint. I try not to tell people that you got to work hard. I just work hard, and it just seems like everybody around me is working hard. And it's just, I think people really genuinely like what they do, and because they're passionate about it, they put their whole self into it. And I think that's what we need from people.
Yeah, for sure. Dick Egan, who's the EMC, used to say, harder you work, the luckier you get. So
Right,
that,
exactly.
that might be a bit dated these days, but certainly work ethic and attitude are vital. And Jackie says positive attitude is the way, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, as you kind of hire people in, right? So you kind of have the team, the engine, everybody kind of gets the mojo. And I think kind of as you describe the culture, it's not how most of the world operates today, right? So a lot of people that are coming in, kind of how do you, kind of obviously quickly acclimate them to what, on the one hand is certainly fantastic and, great culture, but it could also be kind of a shock. So kind of how do you acclimate people?
Sorry, I was reading Eric's question
I told
there,
you
Randy.
don't
I'm
read.
sorry.
I told
I
you.
know you did. I'm sorry.
Pull
It came up. I got to listen. I asked your question again. I'm sorry.
All right, no problem. So how do you acclimate when you have people coming in from the outside to this great culture?
Yeah, I mean, listen, when I hire people, track record matters. I mean, no matter what it is, whether it's high school or whether they're an accomplished athlete or musician or artist, are they a leader in what they've done in their past, right, or their future, their prior career. Like, winners always win, right? So that's what I really look for. And whether it's a leadership position or it's an individual contributor position, I also look for just leadership. I mean, in today's selling worlds, you know, you have to lead without authority. And that's a really hard thing to do. You have to get people around you who are in your pod, to want to work with you and be inspired by your vision and be motivated to work on your team every day, even if they don't directly report to you. And that's kind of, you need to hire leaders in every level of the organization, whether individual contributors, because they're going to eventually be rising to leaders, people leaders, or if you're hiring into people leader position. So I mean, those are the main things I look for. I obviously look for, I look for attitude, I look for work ethic, self-awareness. I look for people that have strong executive presence, that you can tell are students of the industry, and know their craft wherever they're coming from. I mean, all the kind of the leadership principles and styles that I've kind of adopted over the years from the leaders that I've worked for. I look for in hires.
Awesome. And a lot of the areas we recently touched on, Octus IQ actually helps with around the sales performance, talent assessment, everything else. So I'll put in a shameless plug for them. So now back to Eric. So Eric's question is, Peter, you mentioned outcome-based selling and ensuring that your teams know their brief as potential challenges. This is a big shift for some. Are there any specific initiatives you are rolling out to help ensure message cohesion across the teams? So, basically, how do you inspect and ensure that everybody's singing out of the same hymn book?
Yeah, we have a pretty formal, our L&D team is world class. It's led by Sandra Murtaugh, and she's done a phenomenal job.
Sandra, we'll do a shout out to Sandra.
Sandra, and we've, she's built an education council across, the different theaters to really kind of take the field view of what's needed, for our learning and development team and things that they need to roll out. And, we've got a pretty formal endorsement process around, outcome-based selling. And, people need to get endorsed in the field after we go through the formal training. So we're trying everything we can to, not just say, go be an outcome-based seller, but actually teach people how to do it. And again, like I said earlier, we need our partners more than ever. What we sell is pretty complicated. What customers are demanding is pretty complicated, and we need our partners to help stitch it all together. But L&D is a major element of what we do here at Dell to get, I think it's 25,000 sellers globally on message.
Wow, that's awesome. And then so that's kind of, I'll say, the pre-work, but kind of in the training, which is awesome. I know Sandra's team is great, but then kind of, I'd say, kind of on the fly, obviously there's managers that could be on the call with the reps, but do you guys use any kind of, call recording, AI or anything like that to know as they're doing the kind of sales calls, kind of how things are going?
No, I mean, our tech stack is primarily Salesforce.com. We've got trip reporting in there as well. So, we're looking at trying to do things a little bit differently. We're doing some piloting on AI functionality to try to help our sellers be more productive, prior to calls and actually on calls. And, we're making strides there. But yes, we're looking at all different opportunities to make our sellers more productive, for sure.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Eric. So again, anybody listening, following along, feel free to chime in with any other questions. So you mentioned your dad before as a mentor. Any other kind of one or two folks that you'd want to mention, and any specific advice you received?
Well, as I said earlier, I mean, I've been blessed to work at this company for so long, and there's been so many leaders that I've had the opportunity to work for, and I've picked up so many great things for all of them. I mean, I've got Guy Chirillo, from a customer standpoint. I mean, he's the person that's always said, if you want to go far, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. He's been an incredible mentor, especially around kind of the giving side of what our
Right. Yeah.
jobs entail, right? So he's got me involved in multiple charities over the years, and really taught me kind of the power of our network to use that for good, to kind of give back to our community. So he's an incredible family man as well. Like, somebody that I really look up to. My father's not here anymore, so I told you that he was somebody that I watched. He was a CEO of a small public company, and he lived and died by the quarter. I mean, you want to talk about work ethic. This guy was in the office at 7:30, and we'd wait for dinner to have with him as a family. He lived only 15 minutes from the office, but we were eating dinner at 7:30, 8 o'clock at night until he got home. And I just saw how hard he worked, and I saw, you know, the impact that he had on people at his funeral. I mean, the line was out the door, and every single person had such wonderful things to say about him and how he impacted them and how he made them feel, and him being like literally the most honest business person that they've ever done business with, and I watched from afar, but to hear people say that was pretty incredible. So, he's with me every day, kind of guiding me on this journey. But I just got to, go down the line. I mean, Billy Scott, I worked for him for almost 24 years, and watching him operate is incredible. He's a, ultimate family man as well. And I've got the pleasure of now working for John Bird, who is just an incredible and inspirational leader. Another person who works their tail off and puts his family first. Prior to that, I worked for and Jeff Casale, and over the years, and Chris Riley. Again, all people that helped shape me. You were an incredible mentor for me as Chris Riley put me into that first role as a DVP in New York, New Jersey, and God, you just go down the line. I mean, and
All
Bill
right,
Tuber.
okay, we're good.
Bill Tuber, former vice chairman at EMC, he was the executive sponsor for those global accounts I had, and I watched him operate, and I learned a lot from him. And then Frank Kalk, another longtime EMCer, he said to me early on, customers, and it's kind of goes like a little bit with knowing your brief, but you don't want to show up and throw up, right? He said, customers don't care how much you know, they want to know how much you care.
Right.
And really being able to thread that needle, I think, is what differentiates the good sellers from other sellers. And that's kind of stuck with me over the course of my career.
Absolutely. I was actually changing notes with Frank this morning. He's actually, I think, retiring or stepping down at NCR probably like in the next week or so. I assume that's public.
You exchange with everybody. You're the most connected man I know.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. So anyway, we're just about the end. So maybe just if I can couch you a bit to kind of shorter answers, but a couple questions would love to ask. Kind of value of relationships, kind of how that's changed, and maybe it's been lost a bit, and the importance of really, especially now post-COVID, importance of relationships.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, relationships, I mean, they're kind of the foundation of business. But like I said earlier, the days of steak dinners and golf and games, like that doesn't get you the business anymore. Like delivering on projects. Another great saying from EMC was, the best pre-sales is good post-sales, right? So, you sell a deal, but I mean, if you don't deliver on what you said you were going to do, you're not going to get that next opportunity. So you need to sell, deliver, you earn credibility, and you'll gain the opportunity for the next sale. And you really need to understand the industry. You need to understand your products and solutions. You need to understand the customer problem so that you can, help them solve it. I mean, no one wants to buy anything just because it's good technology. They want
Right.
to buy it because it solves their problem
Business outcomes.
and
Yep.
business outcomes. And that's really, again, relationships will help that. But if you can't bring, that outcome to the table, your relationship's just a relationship. So um, that's really important that we kind of all focus on that going forward.
Totally. And I just want to kind of buzz quickly through some of these questions we have. So Emmett asked about AI. How do you envision AI evolving in the sales sector moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think it's going to be, assistant-esque, right? So you're going to have, you're going to have listening AIs that are either on your desktop. You'll say a keyword, and you'll get hopefully, what we want to get to is you'll hear a keyword, and a script will pop up on questions to ask that are around that keyword. We want engines then to basically listen to what a conversation was and generate quotes based on what that looks like. I mean, I think everybody knows, right? It's the promise of AI is 30% employee productivity. I mean, that that number is too big to ignore, and there's not a boardroom in the world that's not talking about it. And it's finding those use cases that are going to be critical. And
Yep.
there's going to be use cases in sales. I mean, we're working on them right now, and we got to help our teams be more productive, and we got to help them be in front of the customer more, and that's either on the phone or face to face. What we do, our sellers probably spend too much time dealing with internal related things than they do spending time in front of customers. And that's either on the phone, on Zoom, or face to face. And if we can bring AI to help with some of those other processes and areas, again, that will be additional productivity gain to the sales force that they can, you know,
Yep.
embark on more selling opportunities.
Absolutely. And I know you've got a bunch of initiatives to basically decrease non-revenue generating time and focus on revenue generating activities, which is awesome. So again, quickly here. So Tyler basically asks, so as you're kind of selling to folks, how do you show them that you know them? As the selling environment is very, very complicated these days. So in terms of kind of homework, in terms of challenges and where they're at and what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best way to know a customer, if it's a new customer and you haven't had any business with them, is go to one of their trusted partners or trusted advisors. There's people that are selling into that customer already, that have relationships, that have trust, that have credibility. Find them and see if they can help you learn more about the customer, and or even potentially help sell your product or solution. I mean, that's the fastest path in. If you I always tell our sellers, if you have a customer that doesn't do business with us and they're doing business with another partner who sells your competitor, your best path is not to bring in a partner to sell your solution against the competitor and their trust, and the incumbent competitor and the trusted partner.
Right.
Go try to sell to the trusted partner. And that's kind of a mindset shift, but I think that's the fastest path to me. That's what I did was, get in with the trusted advisors of the customer, and you'll learn what's, how to sell to them, what they need to solve, and then hopefully eventually build a relationship where they can resell your product
Awesome. So
and
so good.
solution.
And Jackie says giving back is good for the one that receives it, but also for the person that gives of their time and their effort. It's a full circle fulfillment. And as you said, talking about Guy, he's great. I mean, you're fantastic. N Power is one of several executives, several
Randy,
examples. Oh, Peter. All right, I think we got a Wi-Fi pause here. Tucker, is that me or him? It's not me. All right, so Tucker's texting me back. So Tucker, I assume that's Peter's connection and not mine. All right, it is. All right, well, we will wrap. Fortunately, we are at the end. So I certainly want to thank Peter Trizzino. Fantastic session. Just, so many great nuggets there. Thanks, Tucker, for your help behind the scenes. Thank you, Octus IQ, for your sponsorship. And thanks for those that are members of the sales community. For those that are not, Tucker can put the free link up there as well. And to all those, I think I want to go work for Peter there at Dell. Give me a territory. Sounds like a fantastic opportunity. So next week we have Joey from Apex Revenue with the title topic, improving outbound cold calling pickup rates. So certainly in this day and age, old days we used to knock on doors. Now we do cold calling. So for those that still cold call, Joey will have some awesome nuggets for us as well. And thanks to those putting in some comments here, Ryan and Brian and Tyler. So everybody, thanks. I appreciate it and have a great rest.